Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times this Monday, April 26, 2021. For today's editorial, Fighting Terrorism Needs Cooperation with Allies. In an exclusive roundtable interview, Pakistan's envoy in Manila offered to help the Philippines fight terrorism. We should welcome assistance whenever we can get it. Terrorism is a global threat that requires not only a national response, but also help from our allies. Ambassador Imtiaz Kazi said he would push for the approval of a Memorandum of Understanding on defense cooperation between Pakistan and the Philippines. Pakistan, he added, has modern military equipment and combat experience that could be tapped in enhancing our defense capabilities. The offer sounds as sincere as it is credible, given Pakistan's role in the international effort against terrorism since the 9/11 attacks in 2001. Pakistan is located next door to Afghanistan, the global hub of the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and other extremists. In a statement, Ambassador Kazi also said, "Since Pakistan had suffered heavily during its fight against terrorism, but had dealt with it valiantly by offering huge sacrifices in terms of lives and material damages, it was ready to share its best practices and tools in fighting terrorism with friendly countries. Philippines is also one of the countries which has faced terrorism attacks, especially in its southern region from time to time. Thus, both countries could share best practices and intelligence sharing to combat terrorism." During the interview, he also mentioned Marawi. That city in Mindanao has not yet recovered from the siege in 2017, when the Maude group, with help from foreign extremists, held off local police and military for at least 5 months. For many of our allies, the presence of foreign fighters in Marawi was a red flag. Australia, for instance, became concerned about its citizens who were then returning from the Middle East. Many young and idealistic Muslims were recruited by the Islamic State or IS with its romanticized promises of jihad and idyllic portrayals of a caliphate. But when IS was defeated in 2017, many of those recruits returned to their homeland, including Australia and countries across Southeast Asia, where they became our security concern. Since the Marawi incident, and often despite reluctance from Malacanang, Australia has also been working with the Philippines on anti-terrorism cooperation and bolstering local laws that pertain to terrorism. We hope that continues. About understanding the threat, terrorism remains a very real threat in the Philippines, despite the noisy political opposition to the anti-terror law and related issues about so-called red tagging. We urge policymakers and other leaders to resist from caving in to the critics of the government's anti-terrorism initiatives. In fact, we should enhance local efforts with bilateral and multilateral security cooperation against that threat. Terrorism, after all, is global. No single country can hope to fight it alone and succeed. Terrorism is also complicated and exists in various forms. On the domestic front, for instance, the clear threat is religious extremism and radicalization of misguided individuals. The problem is actually less about political ideology, as the communists and others in the left would have us believe. Terrorism can also be organized and large-scale, as seen globally from countries such as North Korea. It reportedly has an army of hackers that attempt to infiltrate financial institutions and commercial enterprises, as well as launder money to fund its military programs and nuclear weapons development. For this type of threat, the Philippines and its allies need to work together, hopefully to convince North Korea it would be better off spending its limited resources on basic public services. Clearly, the Philippines needs to bolster its defense capabilities, not only against a lone wolf, but also from cyber attacks by rogue states. Fortunately, the Philippines has many friends. Philippine relations with Pakistan in particular dates back to 1949. The Philippines was among the first countries to recognize its independence, and Pakistan has been at our side to help us deal with various threats over the decades, even during the Cold War. Regrettably, Pakistan has not received the same attention as we have given our other friends, particularly the United States. In spite of that, Pakistan just keeps on helping. We need more friends like that. And that's the editorial for Monday, April 26, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print. Subscribe to our digital edition or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And listen to The Voice of the Times.